When we're young, we think we're the top shit. We think we have everything worked out and no one can tell us otherwise. Suddenly, reality hits, and those feelings of being top shit turn into feelings of being full of shit. Because let me tell you, there has been a lot that I have learned in these past 10 years. And we know the basics. Take care of your body, otherwise you'll regret it later. Stop caring so much about what other people think. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. Don't put pineapple on pizza. It's a bad idea. So here I'm going to share the 10 most valuable pieces of advice if you are in your 20s, and these are things that I would have done if I could go back in time and, do things a little bit differently, because God knows I can't, but you can. Number 1, the sooner you get into personal growth, the better. This is a big one because let me tell you, my life sucked before I knew that I could actually learn different skill sets and abilities and social skills, because all of these different skills and things that we can learn in school can be beneficial, but nothing really moves the needle on your own happiness. And this is something that you really need to think about, because if these things don't move the needle on your own happiness, then what does? Are you actively working on your own personal development? Are you trying to build more skill sets? Are you trying to develop yourself and grow more so that you can have a higher quality of life? Because if you aren't, or you don't really care about it, you're not making it a priority, it's going to bite you in the ass later on. So definitely jump on your own personal development, start working on yourself now, and 10 years later from now, you will have a very different but happier life experience. The second thing is to assume that you have never gotten to the bottom of it. And this is really important because especially when we are young, we are quite naive. We think we know everything. We think we have all the answers. We're generally not so open to advice or to teachings or to people who have better ways of doing things. But it becomes abundantly clear that there is always another layer of information. Believe me, if you think you've gotten to the bottom of something, you haven't even begun digging. Assume that there is always something more to know, that every person who comes into your life is a teacher in some form, and believe me, your learning curve will become so much quicker because you are actively learning. So my advice is to always take the position of someone who has something to learn, and never be the guy who says, yeah, I don't want to learn, I already know everything about this topic, I am right, you are wrong, because that is a very immature perspective to take. So instead, just be open to learning, be open to new perspectives, and always actively seek out more information about any given subject. Okay, so number 3 is a big one. So this is to take radical self-responsibility for your life. If you are always the victim of your circumstances, of other people, and you have no control over your life experience, I actually dare you to just follow this path for another 10 years and let's see where it leads you. Because I bet you that your life will be very similar to the way that it is now unless you learn to take responsibility for everything that is happening inside it. Realize that pointing the finger will never get you anywhere, and if you are someone who is in this frame of mind where you believe that you are always the victim, that you believe there is always someone or something responsible for your circumstances, then this is not going to lead you to happiness. Number 4 is to not get involved in petty debates. Believe me, you are better than that. This is particularly an issue when it comes to things like politics or spirituality or different belief systems that aren't always in alignment with other people's. So I suggest that instead of trying to force your opinion across or to make someone understand your own personal beliefs, instead just hear them out and don't engage it. Don't engage people who just want to argue. Don't get involved in these petty debates because it doesn't make anyone feel good and it really doesn't move the needle on anything. So if you really want to reclaim your time, take a step back, stop arguing against people who don't want to see reason, and just be okay with realizing that everyone has their own opinions, everyone has their own beliefs, and not everyone is going to see eye to eye. Number 5 is to prioritize living from the heart rather than the mind. Many of us live centered around the mind, and we are constantly planning, articulating, thinking, and doing, but it can be a little bit difficult to step back and actually just feel into the heart. Because the highest states of happiness that we can feel come from the heart. Think about it. Love. Where does love come from? Compassion. Where does compassion come from? Gratitude. Where does gratitude come from? Many people go in circles here, chasing fame and fortune and all these different things that are so materialistic, but they wonder why they are still depressed or they are still anxious and they aren't having a happy life experience even if they have these things. This video is starting to get a little bit long, so I'm going to break it up with some cat videos. And we're back, even if we don't want to be. Number 6, you don't have to have it all worked out. Often when we are in our early 20s, we haven't really matured our desires and our ambitions and our goals. So we end up maybe jumping the gun with certain things and going into a certain career or line of work or doing a certain thing that, might seem like the best option at that particular time, but your future self 10 years from now might say, what an idiot, what was I doing? So acknowledge that you change over time, your desires, your personality, your interests. And if you really start establishing a foundation for something quite early on, then you might not be giving yourself a whole lot of flexibility in the future. We begin to gain new skill sets, we go in different directions, we explore new things, and more often than not, we discover new things that actually bring us more joy. So keep that in mind. As you age and mature, so does your personality, your interests, your desires, and really everything about you. So don't put too much pressure on yourself when you are young, and rather just allow yourself to naturally or organically unfurl and explore new interests, explore what you want to do, explore what you're actually good at, rather than just following some career path or some line of education because you are supposed to do it. Number 7. Most of what you are told is bullshit. And it's not until we gain more maturity, more wisdom, that we start to see just how much bullshit is in society. Propaganda, indoctrination, conditioning, influencing. These are just some of the words to convey the depth of false teachings within our society. So often we can't trust the information that is fed to us from society, from other people, because they have their own belief systems, their own inaccuracies, their own perspectives on certain situations. So how do you know what is real and what isn't? Well, in my eyes, the best approach you can take is to take everything with a grain of salt and realize that there is nonsense and there is some validity in everything. So instead of believing that A is right, B is wrong, do your due diligence and research information, use critical thinking, talk to people, learn from different perspectives and beliefs and ideas, because the more information that you have, the better. And this leads me to the next point. Conformity does not lead to joy. Do not spend your life conforming because you are supposed to do it. Many of us do it for some time, especially when we are young, and that's okay, we're still learning. But you'll get to a point in your life where you realize that just conforming and doing something because it's the thing to do doesn't really bring you satisfaction or joy in the long run. So instead of following the beaten track, I encourage you to carve out your own individual path in life, walk your own road, do what resonates with you, and don't fall into this conformist thinking that so many of us are deeply embedded in. Follow your own interests, follow your own desires, do what feels good to you, and don't fall into this big web that many of us are ensnared in. And don't get me wrong, you should still be strategic about it, you should still make smart choices, but you should navigate in a direction that resonates with you, that resonates with what you actually want to do, rather than just following the beaten track and doing what you are supposed to do because it's the easy route or because other people are pushing you in that direction. Number 9, have some flexibility in your life. Your youth may be the best years of your life. So take advantage of the time that you don't have these heavy responsibilities, that you don't have all these systems and these things that you need to deal with all the time, and rather go out and actually enjoy your life. Make something of your life, experiment, explore. Value your flexibility. Value this period of your life where you don't have roots and where you really have the potential and opportunity to do anything you want. Your life trajectory can change very, very quickly. What if you have an opportunity to work some interesting job in another country? What if you meet a partner from another country? What if something opens up to you and it requires you to either move away or to invest in a different skill set or to follow a different path that you didn't previously think about? So I suggest that you make the use of your time, Go travel, experience, explore, do new things while you still have this free time, while you aren't locked into work, while you are still living with your parents and not paying off a mortgage or you're not paying for rent. The final point that I want to share with you is to speak your truth. I spent many years holding my tongue and not saying what I believed or not saying what I wanted to say because it didn't appease other people. And I'll admit it, I was a people pleaser. I didn't want to cross the line. I didn't want to elicit negative emotional reactions. So instead, I just held my tongue and I didn't speak my truth. Believe me, you can't spend your life walking on eggshells. You are going to piss people off. You are going to have beliefs and perspectives that other people don't agree with. Sometimes people are going to think you're an idiot. As long as you hold true to your beliefs and your perspectives and you are congruent with who you are, by speaking your truth, by saying what you need to say, by expressing what's on your mind, then you are going to feel much more lighter, like you take this burden off. Therefore, speak your truth, speak what's on your mind. Don't be afraid of crossing lines because sometimes lines need to be crossed. And if you never end up speaking your truth, then you're just walking on eggshells for the rest of your life. And that's not something that you want. So there you have it. 10 things I would tell my younger self if I could go back in time and speak to him. With that said, please like this video, subscribe to this channel if you find it useful, and I will see you in the next video. Take care of yourself. Have a nice day.